This is Matthew Cratter from Trader University, and today I want to talk about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and whether I think they're a good investment. This is something I've been getting a lot of questions about. So just to give you an image to associate with NFTs, here's a famous NFT, which stands for non-fungible token, of a video clip of LeBron James slam dunking. This is from the NBA Top Shot collection, and this recently sold for $200,000, believe it or not. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens. A fungible token would be any token that's theoretically interchangeable. So one US dollar bill is really equal to any other US dollar bill. I'm simplifying a little bit here because obviously certain serial number dollar bills may have a nefarious history, or $1 bill may have a little cocaine on it and another doesn't. Likewise with other fiat currencies. But the basic idea is that $1 is $1 is $1. And the same might be said for Bitcoin as well. You can send someone a Bitcoin, they can send a Bitcoin back to you, a different Bitcoin, and you still have the same amount of wealth. So those are fungible tokens. They're interchangeable. A non-fungible token is a unique token. It's a unique digital asset. You can think of it like being a digital baseball card. If you grew up in the 70s like I did and knew about baseball cards and basketball cards, etc., it could be a digital painting. It could be an asset in a virtual world like Decentraland. You could buy some real estate there, for example. Now, these are normally built on the Ethereum network. And because of the smart contract capability of Ethereum, you can do some pretty cool things with NFTs. You can prove that you own one. Proof of ownership is built into it. You can see the current owner, the previous owner. You can see the transaction history, and it's easy to add lots of other interesting metadata as well. Unlike collecting oil paintings or canvases, it's much easier to store these. Obviously, they're essentially stored on the blockchain. You don't need to buy fire insurance or flood insurance, and it's very easy to verify that you own it. And you can get bragging rights. I think is what a lot of people like. You can go online and show everyone that you own it. Now, anyone can obviously just watch this video of LeBron James. You could probably find it on YouTube. You can just watch the NFT online, but you don't actually own it, and you can't sell this unique token. Here's Decentraland. I haven't really used this, but this would be an example of a virtual world where you could create and trade NFTs. If you've heard about CryptoKitties, which was sort of a craze a couple years ago, these, I believe, were probably the first version of NFTs. Here's the most famous one called Dragon, currently for sale for 600 ETH, roughly $1 million. And I can't remember the history of this one, but these have actually done fairly well. If you're finding this video helpful, I want to pause right here and just ask you if you could subscribe, if you could hit that like button, and if you could also tell your friends about the channel. I would appreciate it. One of the best known NFTs around have been, as we said, these Top Shot NFTs from the NBA. So you can go to NBATopShot.com. You can look up your favorite team. Here's the NFTs for the Nuggets. I could look at Jamal Murray, and I could buy an NFT of him for $299, etc. And then it would be mine. You can see the lowest price here is $295, highest price $50,000, and you can select which serial number you want. Depending on the serial number, the higher one goes for close to $20,000 here. You can see that there are 146 of these for sale. So this really is the definition of greater fool investing, where the only way you make money with these is if you're able to sell them at a higher price. Now, not saying you can't do that, but it's more difficult than you might imagine. Now, I think it's a very good business. If you're issuing NFTs, this is just free money for the NBA. If you run one of these companies that takes a fee whenever an NFT is issued, the Winklevoss twins were very smart. They bought Nifty Gateway back in back in 2018, I believe. And so they're very smart to be there, just taking a cut of everything. Now, when I was younger, when I was newly married, my wife and I used to buy art on eBay just to put up on the walls. And we found some pretty cool things for anywhere from $50 to $500. So I could see someone doing something like this with NFTs. Now, we certainly had we were under no illusion that these paintings we were buying were someday going to become the next Picasso, but they just gave us pleasure, and they were the right price point. So you can do something similar now with various NFT sites. This is Rarible, which is one of the more well-known ones. I was just looking at this morning, and it looks like Taco Bell, the actual company, the fast food company, has gotten in on the game, and they are selling NFT taco art. Quite expensive. This NFT, there are 5 copies of this available. Each one is available for 10 ETH, which is roughly $18,000 right now. And so it's kind of cool. It's not what I would spend $18,000 on, and it's hard to see this being a good long-term investment. The way you buy these is you'd go to one of these websites, and then you basically you hook up. You open up an account with MetaMask. You create a wallet, and then you can use that wallet to buy these. So if I just click bid here, it will tell me to connect my wallet, and it looks like someone is bidding 2 ETH or 2 wrapped ETH for this one. It hasn't sold yet. So it doesn't, maybe, I don't know how this works, whether they sell it at a lower price, but you can bid on it just like an eBay auction as well. And you can pay for it with ETH. And I think this is one of the major drivers behind this is we just have a lot of newly wealthy ETH people and have some ETH that's burning a hole in their pocket. And so if you've made some funny money with your Ethereum investment, and you're not like a long-term hodler like a lot of Bitcoiners are, this may, buying 10 ETH that maybe you paid a couple dollars for a few years ago, spending 10 ETH on this is maybe not a big deal. The real problem, though, is NFTs have a potentially infinite supply, and as such, they have very low stock to flow, and as such, they should trade at an aggregate at very low valuations. By contrast, Bitcoin, they're just 21 million. They have a very high stock to flow. Bitcoin is a very high stock to flow. It's comparable to gold right now, and it's moving on to even higher stock to flows as after the next halving in 2024. Now, the key difference between NFTs and Bitcoin is when you have high prices for NFTs. For example, if you can sell one of these for $200,000, that's just incredible money for selling a video clip. And as such, high NFT prices will massively increase the new supply. The market is very flexible in capitalist economies, and it will produce a lot of what people want. Now, whether those are Beanie Babies, whether those are Crocs, whatever it is, the difference and what makes Bitcoin very special is that high prices for Bitcoin cannot and will not increase the supply. The future supply, the future issuance schedule for Bitcoin is set in stone. You have approximately 900 new Bitcoin being mined every day. In 4 years from now, it's going to go down to 450, etc. And there's a cap. There's 21 million. So Bitcoin is actually scarce, and you can't have a huge supply coming in to dump or new coins created simply because the prices are high. And that's a key difference between NFTs. Now, the question, of course, I'm going to get is, well, what about Picasso and Brock and Matisse? You could have made a lot of money if you were an early collector of these. Someone like Wilhelm Ude, who is an early friend of Picasso and bought his first Picasso painting in 1905 and then became a patron for many of these artists, including Henri Rousseau. Yes, this is if you are good at picking paintings, if you can spot the next Picasso, and it's even hard to know in the modern world whether there is another Picasso, or is everything very decentralized and very unique and niche. Here's the most expensive Picasso, $179 million for this. So what I would say is that, are you already a knowledgeable art collector? Do you already collect sports memorabilia? do these things give you joy? Would an NFT of LeBron James give you joy? If so, it makes sense. As a consumption item, it might make sense to play around with NFTs if you have the disposable income to do them. That being said, if you want to be able to buy an actual Picasso someday, not my ambition, but maybe someone's ambition, holding Bitcoin I think is a better path. And I'm going to tell you why. And I want you to go into this eyes wide open, especially when it comes to NFTs. These are much less liquid than Bitcoin. They're much easier to manipulate, as we're going to see. So if I'm an artist, I could sell, let's say I sell one of my unique artworks as an NFT on Ethereum, and it does really well. All of a sudden, I'm making more money in one sale than I make in the whole year. I sell this NFT on Ethereum for call it $50,000 or something. So then I decide to, that works so well, maybe I'll sell it again on a different blockchain. I'll sell it on EOS, I'll sell it on Neo or Tron, which are all these ETH knockoffs. So there's nothing to stop someone from doing that. Now, obviously, just like having the .com is better than having the .net. If you have this NFT on Ethereum, which is the major blockchain for NFTs, it's probably going to be more valuable. That being said, if this artist goes and creates NFTs everywhere or does more versions of it, there's nothing to stop that person, and it can really increase the supply and hurt your investment. The other thing artists can do, and anyone can do this really with any security, though it's illegal obviously to do it with registered securities like stocks. If you're an artist, you could get your friends to buy and sell an NFT. You basically start with some money. One friend buys it for $1,000, and then another friend buys it for $2,000. And meanwhile, you're recycling all the money behind the scenes, and you're giving everyone a cut to make it a good use of their time. And eventually, between your friends, your peer group, other artists doing this for you, and then you return the favor, maybe you can drive the price of your NFT up to $50,000. Then you sell it to someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. And so there's nothing to stop people from doing this. There's nothing to stop companies from doing it as well, to sort of juice their sales and get the auction started. Warren Buffett always says he never participates in auctions because it's usually very bad for the buyer. Now, the problem with NFTs, it's one thing if you buy them to hold them for the long term and you're really going to enjoy looking at them, or maybe you buy it as a joke, like this crypto kitty thing. It's a joke that turned out to be a very good investment. But what happens when it comes time to sell the NFT? Maybe you're doing this just for the money, not for the love of it. And there may be zero liquidity. In fact, in most cases, in a year from now, in 6 months from now, even in 3 months from now, there may not be a bid for any of these things. If you look at this huge, how many NFTs have been issued here's 100 handmade jingles with AI, etc. What's going to be the bid for these things in a year from now? It's not like even XRP, which is a garbage cryptocurrency, there's still a bid for it because it trades on various exchanges. It's fungible, but these things are completely unique. If you spend 10 ETH on this jingle bee, who's to say that there'll ever be a bid for it again? Why would anyone ever do it? Now, if you're really smart, if you're William Uda and you already know how to do these things, maybe you can pick the next Picasso. But that's a very, very difficult thing to do. And in order to pick the next Picasso, the real way to do it is you might have to try to pick 100 Picassos, a little bit like VC investing, and only one of them turns out to be Picasso. And so you lose money on 99 of the investments. You make a lot of money on one of them. Hopefully you make 100x on that so you can get back to break even. So it's a very difficult thing to do. And if you ever decide to get out, it is more illiquid than an old couch. If you've ever tried to give away an old piece of furniture, you've tried to sell it on Craigslist, no one wants to buy it, and even Goodwill won't accept it. And so you literally cannot give it away. You have to leave it on your curb for the trash collectors. Now, NFTs, at least they don't take up a lot of space. They're just stored on the blockchain or on your computer. But you have to understand that once you put the money in this, you may never, it's quite likely you'll never be able to get the money out. If you play this game, you may be able to, flip one NFT for $1,000, then reinvest. And as long as this craze continues for a few more months or even a year or so, you can do well. But the problem is you are probably going to be left holding the bag. Even if you can work your account up to a couple $100K doing this, that last purchase, there's no guarantee unless you really, really know what you're doing that you'll ever be able to exit it. So you may end up with just a really expensive crypto kitty that you paid $200,000 for, $1 million for, and that's that. There's no buyer for it in the future, or the buyer is 90% below the last purchase price. So I can understand if there are a lot of people who have ETH burning a hole in their pockets, why they might want to just play around in this space, especially with some of the lower priced NFTs. So as a hobby, as a way of enjoying art, or as just a sort of a troll, it might be fun to do. But I don't think it's a smart long-term investment. Another thing to keep track of here, if you're doing this, is that depending on your jurisdiction or the jurisdiction of the seller, whether you're the seller or the buyer, there are sales tax implications. I'm not completely familiar with them, but I do know when you buy and sell a Picasso, for example, that there is sales tax due in most jurisdictions. And so you could have a situation here where you end up buying an NFT for $18,000. It becomes worth zero. People can go back. The IRS will eventually figure out how to go back to the blockchain and figure out how much you paid for it, and you will owe either you or the seller will all of a sudden owe 10% sales tax on this. And even though your NFT is worth zero, you'll have to come up with $1,800, $2,000 for the local tax authorities. I said the IRS, but for sales tax, whether it's a local or state sales tax, you may end up owing this, whether you're the buyer or the seller, depending on the jurisdiction. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.